Hello, I'm SoundGuyStu and this is Let's Add Sound, and today we're going to be adding adaptive Foley with FMOD and Unreal Engine. It sounds like this. So the character has footsteps there which change by surface materials, also by speed. Wonderful. Let's get started. Alright, so let's open up FMOD, bring in a new project here. So we are going to want to bring in the audio. Let's open up the audio bin, and so if I bring in our sound effects here, we can just copy all these across into the audio bin, and let's get started. So the first thing I want to do is create a new sound event. This can be a 2D event, and we're going to call it footsteps. And I will assign this to the master bank. Actually, no, I'm going to create a new bank, and I'm going to call it Foley. And I will assign this one to the Foley bank. So that means when it gets built, it'll know where it's being built to. So footstep sound event, here we have our first audio track, which I'm going to make the default footstep sound. And as we're starting on a beach, let's call it sand. So, where is the sand? Oh, I've got 4 different sand sounds, and if I drag them all in at the same time, that's going to make a multi-sound, which, if we zoom in, we can trigger. It only triggers one at a time, which adds a bit of variation. But if I go down here, randomize, and then I can also modulate the volume randomly and the pitch randomly. So every time this sound is triggered, it'll play a different way, and that just keeps it random, makes it sound a bit more natural, and avoids us hearing the same sound again and again, which can pull you out of the game. So if I loop it just now, just so that you can hear the difference. This one plays a lot. Maybe I'll vary that a bit more. Yeah, okay. So now I want to add in a different audio track for a different surface type, which I will call dirt. And for the dirt, what I've done is I've separated the heel sound and the toe sound to give us even more variation. So if I solo that, we've got dirt heel, dirt toe, and it'll trigger immediately after. Yeah, so you'll see it's triggering a different heel and toe combination every time. But if I also add in random modulation of volume and random modulation of pitch, and if I do the same for the heels and the toe sound, random, and this will just add in lots of variation, meaning that you never hear the same footstep twice. Even when it plays the same 2 in combination, it varies the pitch, so it still sounds different. So what I'll do is I'll go in and just do all the other surface areas just now. Alright, so you can see here I've got different surface types, and each of them will trigger a different sound. Now what I also want to add to this, just to give it a bit more realism, is the sound of the clothing moving, the character's clothes as they walk. So if we add another audio track, call this one clothes, clothes. And if we go to Foley clothes, run, 1, 2, 3, oops. Bring those ones in, and you can hear it's just a bit jingly. So again, we're going to randomize these and modulate the volume a little bit and modulate the pitch. Okay, so if I combine it with, or if I mute everything except the, oh no, water's not a good one. Let's do with the sand. I'm going to bring the volume down a bit just because okay, so that's the clothes jingle as they're walking, and then we've got all the different surface types for the feet. So we want to be able to change this in Unreal Engine. What we have to do is add a new parameter, and if we go a new parameter, and we're going to call this surface type, and I want it to be arranged between, well, how many surfaces have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So between 1 and between 0 and 6. And if we click OK, that'll bring us to this parameter editor window here. And what we're going to change is the volume of each layer. So automation, and we want this to start at 0 dB, between 0 and just before 1. Oh, and then once we get to 1, we want it to drop to -infinity. And what that means is when it's between 0 and 1, it'll play the sand, and then after that, it won't play the sand. And we want to go through and just do that for all the other ones as well. But for this, we want to start on 0, and then go to, start on -infinity, and then go to 0 till just before 2. Okay, and then we can go through and do the rest. Alright, so I've automated the volumes for each of those based on the parameter, but I don't want to do the clothes. I want to keep them on the whole time. So they're not going to change, but the footsteps are going to change. So what does that sound like? Well, if we're between 0 and 1, we have sand. Okay, so when we change it, the footstep sounds change. Wonderful. I also want to add a parameter where the volume will change based on the speed of the character. So this means when they're walking, the footsteps are a little bit lighter, and when they're running, the footsteps are a little bit heavier. So we're going to add a new parameter. We're going to call this speed vol, and it's between 0 and 1. So I want this to affect the master for this sound event. So add automation, and as 1, we want this to be 0, and then when we go down to 0, so 1 is the fastest walking speed or running speed of the character, So we want it to be at the loudest. And then 0 is not moving at all. So we want to bring that down to probably about -12. So if we bring that right up to the top, okay. So we also want to add in some jump sounds. So if we just save that, oops. All right, yeah, I'll need to save it into let's add sound, and let's add sound game, and we'll save it here as let's add sound audio. Lovely. So add a new event, new 2D event. We're going to call this jump start, and assign to Foley. And we're also going to make another event called jump end, or jump land, actually. Sounds a bit better. So, Foley. Okay, so jump start. We have jump start. Bring up the audio bin. Jump up. Bring these in, multi-sound. Random, modulate random, modulate pitch, random. Maybe I do want shuffle. Yeah, that sounds a bit better actually. So that's us taking off. And then for land, we want the jump lands. I'll leave that on shuffle. Modulate random. Pitch. Modulate random. I think shuffle, because there's only 2 sounds, shuffling is better than repeating the same sound a few times, I think. Alright, so just before we build, I'll have to remember to remove this looping region here, because we don't actually want the footsteps to loop when they're triggered. We just want it to be a one shot. So delete the looping region and pop that back there. There we go. Wonderful. So file, build, and that's built. We're going to jump over to Unreal. Okay, so here I am in the Unreal Engine editor, and if we click play, oops, you will hear nothing because we don't have any sounds. But if we come out and have a look in the FMOD folder, events, here's the events we created. So let's get them implemented. Now, to trigger sounds with an animation, what we need to do is open up the animation blueprint. My character is called Eve, so Eve animation blueprint. And if we go to animations, let's have a look at the walking. What I can do is pop a little anim notify in there. So if we find a frame that looks like the foot's just about to go down, yep, and then we can add a new notify, which I will call footstep. Okay, and then if we continue through the cycle to the next foot down, and because we've already made it, it's there again, so add footstep, save, and I'll probably need to do the same for running. There, footstep, and here, maybe a little bit back. Footstep, save, and sneaking as well. So, okay. We also want to add some jump notifiers in there. So, this is why we had start jump and end jump. So, I'm going to add probably about here maybe a new notify, and we're going to call this jump start. Whoops. And then we zoom along to the end. Just when the weight's sort of hitting the bottom there, we want a new notify, jump land. And also our feet hit the ground, one there. So I'm just going to add a footstep and one there. And add footstep. Okay, save that one, and then we want to go into the animation blueprint event graph here, and we can just right click. If we search for footstep, and we can drag out from this, and FMOD play event 2D, and add in the footstep event, compile. Now this is very simple, I'll make it more extravagant later on, but just to demonstrate how it works, we also want the jump start and jump end, jump land, sorry. And we can do the same again, Control C, Control V. So jump start, we want to play jump start, and Control C, Control V. Jump land, we want jump land, compile, save. Now if we just get rid of these, pop into the game. We have footsteps, and we have very loud jumping. And I'm not actually convinced they're lined up very well. No. So I'll just reposition some of those. If we go back into the animation blueprint and back into the jump animation. So I think it was a little bit too late. So if I move it back a little and move that one forward a bit, save, close that one, let's try again. Not convinced. I think it's still too early. So let's try one more time. Obviously you can be as neat and tidy as you want. I'll just do this one quickly as an example. Jump, and maybe if we bring it further back to there. Okay, for now I'll leave it as that, but it is still far too loud compared to the footsteps. So, if we go back into the FMOD project, bring that over here, jump land, I think we'll bring the volume down, about 6, jump start again, Okay, and for these effects to happen in the game, we also need to build and save, and then when I open up Unreal it should say FMOD updates. We might have missed it there because it was hidden, but let's try again. No, I think that's too late now. So one last tweak and then we can move on. If we go to animation and jump land, I'm going to actually bring it before the footsteps here. Save. Oops. Should play. And okay, that's a bit better. But what we'll notice now is that we don't have any change of surface. It's just the same footstep sound playing. And that's because we've not told the FMOD parameters what they are. So to do that, we first have to assign surfaces to each of the different materials that we have. Luckily for me, if I go into settings, project settings, now we'll have to set up the physical materials first. So physics surface types. So we want to make a surface type for each of our, oh, where's it gone? Here we go. So sand, dirt, grass, tile, wood creek, oops, wood creek, and water. And if we just pop out to a different menu and come back in, they should still be there. Save all. Now I want to get rid of that search content and go into the physical materials folder. There's a few there already, but I'm not going to use those ones. I'm going to make my own. So physics, physical material, select, and we will call this one sand. And if you open up the physical material, just change the surface type. Here we go. Okay. Set that surface type to sand, save, and close that one. And now I'll just go through and make all the other ones as well. Alright, so I've now created all the physical materials that I'll need for this, and if we open one of them up, there's tile, and it corresponds to the surface type of tile. So, when I made this landscape, I did paint some materials onto the landscape. So if we go to the landscape editor, this is just a little shortcut, paint, and then I have the materials here. So if you click on the looking glass there, we can find them in the content browser, and then if we just open it up, physical material, I can set this to sand. So sand, click save, close that one down. Rock, I believe I've called dirt, but never mind. Dirt, save, close. Mud is just this darker layer that I've used to color in, so it doesn't actually need its own surface type, but grass we can do. And we'll call that grass. Save. The water, so I'll go back to editing and just make sure I've clicked on water here, water plane, and if I go to the water material, in the material editor here I can change the physical material here as well, so we're going to call that water. Save. And then anything else that has this material applied to it will also have the physical material as well. So that was water. Now there's a few things in the game that I also want to add material to. So this you can walk on. So I will change the physical material in the actor sort of details panel here. Physical material override. I will call dirt as well. That's fine. And also the wooden bridge that is a little creaky and mysterious, I want to change the physical material of that to wood creak, because we can walk over it. So that's that. Save. And finally there is a tiled area that we can walk in. So if I look for that over here, whoops, in this little booth here, we have a tiled floor, which I'll be walking on later. So I'll just change the tile material to tile and save. And then any other floors in future that have this material will also have the tile physical material as well. So let's get back to the beach. Here we go. Now, how do we get the animation to trigger based on surface materials? Well, what we're going to do for that is we need to open up the third person, the Eve animation blueprint. Eve animation blueprint. And we're just going to have to make this a little bit more complex to get where we need to go. So let's bring that over and we can break this link for now. And what I want to do is trace out from the actor to the floor to see what I'm standing on. So I'll bring that out and do a line trace by channel. And now it just doesn't know where to trace from yet, so what I have to do is do get owning actor, and we want to get the location, get actor location, and I can pop that in, so it'll start tracing from the actor's location, and it'll stop tracing if I go here to vector minus vector. And I want the X and the Y to remain the same, but Z is below us or above us. So if I put minus 200, what that'll do is it'll take the actor's location, scan down 200 units, and whatever's below, whatever the surface area is, we can get it from there. That's fine. And then I want to sort of break this out. Break hit result is what I'm looking for. Break hit results. Oh, multi-line. No, that's not what I want. I just want a simple one. Oops. Oh yeah, I clicked the wrong one. So I want line trace by channel singular. Pop that in there. Connect that to there. Out hit. Here we go. Boom. So from here, I want to, what do I want to do? I want to get the surface type physical material. Get surface type. Oakley dokley. And then if I bring out from here, what I want to do is be able to switch between the surface types and have that affect the parameter with an FMOD. So I will get a switch on physical material, physical surface. And these are all the surfaces that we created in the what do we call it? I've completely forgotten. Project settings. There we go. So get the surface type up to here, and then it'll scan and it'll find a surface type, and then based on whichever surface type you're standing on will output from one of these. So now what we need to do is create a new variable, which we will call surface type parameter. And I want this to be a float. You could use an integer, but I'm just going to use a float for this one. Compile and pop this out, set. So if we go back into, well, the way that it's designed actually, these are in order. So default and sand can go to 0. And then if we just copy and paste, and we're going to need one for each surface type. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Another 2, 6. Okay. So for dirt, we want 1. And for grass, 2. Tile, 3. For the wood creek, 4. And for the water, oops, 5. Okay. So now we want the play event to be triggered by all of these, or by whichever one is triggered at the time. And then we want the return value of this to be a parameter. Set parameter. So this will set the parameter with an FMOD, and you have to tell it which parameter to change, which was surface type, which has to be exactly matching how it's written in FMOD, otherwise it will not know where to send this information. So we have all of our set surface type parameters there. Now if we drag this out, we can do get surface type parameter, and that will set the parameter in FMOD. So that's how we change the surface type. I'm just going to compile this and make sure it works. So and it does not. Alright, so I figured out the issue here was that I had this set as minus. Now this is already a vector minus vector. So it was minusing a minus, which made it a plus, but I want it to scan down the way, so I've changed this to plus 200, so it'll be the actor's location minus 200, and that gives us what we need. So if we close this one and play again, okay. And there we have it. The surface areas are sorted. Next, what we're going to do is have a look at the change in the volume with the speed. So if we open up the blueprint again, the animation blueprint, and we can drag this off. Parameter, so we want to set the other parameter, and this one was speed vol, which, if you remember from the project in FMOD, we have speed vol it goes between 0 and 1. However, the velocity of our character is quite a bit bigger than that, so we'll have to scale that down. So what we can do for that is if we try get pawn owner and go to get velocity, and what I'll do as an example is if I just print the string and I'll just drag from this just now so that we can show you. Compile, close, and play. You will see the velocity up the side here of our character sort of goes up to about 500, 550 is the max. And if we slow down, right, yep. So if we go back into the animation blueprint, and what we want to do is take our range of velocity from 0 to 500 and convert it into 0 to 1, so that in FMOD it knows where the volume of the sound needs to be. So we want to map range, and I might need to get rid of that. Map range. Okay, yeah, this is what we want. So we want vector length. Convert that into an integer. So from 0 to 500 input, and then we'll change that from 0 to 1. Now, if I print the string for this, you will see what has happened. Compile and play. So now when I move around, the velocity is somewhere between 0 and 1. Wonderful, just what we need. So open it up. Get rid of this now because that was only for demonstration. The return value from here can plug right into there. So what's happening in total is the footstep notification scans down to see which material type it is, and then it'll play the sound which matches that physical material, and it will also check the velocity of the character. And if you're moving slowly, it'll turn the volume down. If you're moving fast, it'll turn the volume up. So let's just see that in action. Okay, I hope you found that useful, and if you like it, please do like it and subscribe for more content in future. And if you feel like supporting me, you can give me a tip or buy me a coffee. I'll leave a link to that in the description below. Alright, see you next time.